Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me on this evening. I hope that everyone is well. My name is Candace B. Woods, and I am your mindset architect. And tonight I'll be sharing with you five basic tools that I use to shift from dreamer to visionary. And this is my She Visionary. Yes, webinar. So, welcome to everyone. I've had some technical difficulties. I was supposed to start it maybe 30 minutes ago, and for some reason, my page is not working. So, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. We're going to continue on. So, I'm really excited about tonight because this is my baby, y'all. This is my baby. And this is actually brand new content that I am able to share with you on tonight. And it's just a very exciting time for me because this is something that I love and I truly enjoy doing. I have the pleasure of empowering women to elevate their mindset so that they can attract worthy and meaningful relationships. And this is just one of the ways that I do it. And those relationships don't have to just be romantic in nature, they can be personal, professional, or both. And so I'm excited about tonight. I hope that you guys are able to join in. If you're not able to join in, that's okay because I'm recording this. This will be I will share and yeah, you'll have access to it. So I appreciate you for taking your time to either watch it personally or live or to watch the replay. So I'm extremely excited. So with that stated, generally I have a chat. Generally I have a chat, but this is very new to me as far as using Google Air and YouTube and all that good stuff. My lead page isn't working. So this is all very new to me. So I'm going to do what I have to do. Okay. So generally, I have a chat, and generally, you're able to chat back with me. Let me know what you're thinking. I will give you questions. Tonight, I'm not able to do that, but that's okay. If you do have questions, I want you to make sure that you go and you email me at cbwoods405 at gmail.com, or you can email me at candace at candacebwoods.com. Okay. And if you have any questions, or you can just locate me over on Facebook. I'm Candace B. Woods. And actually, for Facebook, it is facebook.com/ Candace B. Woods Elevates. Okay, so you can check me out there as well and ask me any questions, and I'll be happy to give you any information about tonight's broadcast or anything that I'm doing. And with that stated, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And so tonight, again, this is the She Visionary webinar, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. A minute. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And we're going to go ahead and get started, okay? And all right, so this is the She Visionary webinar, 5 tools to transform you from a dreamer to a visionary. And so this is very significant, very important information that I'm going to share with you. So I really want you to take an opportunity, grab a pen, grab some paper, go and make sure that you take some notes because I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of information. And I'm also going to share with you some bonuses and some great gifts that I have for you at the end. So stay tuned for that information. And so we're going to start off and talk about a visionary. So a visionary, and I took the time to go and look it up for you. A visionary is a person who thinks about or plans their future with imagination or wisdom. Or it's a person with original ideas about what the future will or could be like. right? And so I want you to take notes on a couple of words in this particular definition. And the first word is plan, right? So it says a visionary is a person who thinks about or plans their future. All right. And so that's the first word, plan. But they don't just do it just to do it. They do it with imagination or, and this is the second word I want you to take note of, wisdom, right? So, first of all, in order to be a visionary, you have to have a plan and you have to have wisdom. Okay. And so this is incredibly important in shifting from a dreamer to a visionary. Okay. And so now I want to define for you the dreamer. Okay. So the dreamer is a person who dreams or is dreaming, or a person who is unpractical or idealistic. Okay. So a dreamer is just someone who has a lot of thoughts. They have their thoughts are unpractical, and they dream. And so, you guys, as a dreamer, I absolutely see nothing wrong with being a dreamer. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a dreamer. But I do not want you to stay there. I do not want you to stay in dream mode, right? I do not want you to continue to just be a dreamer. As a matter of fact, it was a great woman by the name of Harriet Tubman who says that every great dream begins with a dreamer. It begins with a dreamer. So I want you to take an opportunity right now to think about what it is that you dream of, or used to dream of, or something that you still dream about. Like, what is it that as a child you dreamed of doing or becoming? And if you never dreamed of being or doing anything as a child, what is something that you have a desire to do deep down in your heart, that if there was nothing hindering you from doing it, if there was no money issues, if you had all the money in the world and you were able to do that thing, what would it be? If you were able to wake up every morning and do something with your life, what would it be? What would that thing be that doesn't feel like work? So I want you to take an opportunity to think about that. And generally, if my page is working, you'd be able to put that in the chat. But dreamers, there's nothing wrong with being a dreamer. As a matter of fact, as I stated, Harriet Tubman said every great dream begins with a dreamer. And you want to always remember, you have within you the strength, you have the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. So I want you to think about that. And I want to ask you this question: what world do you want to change? Because many of us, when we think about that, we say, you know what, I don't necessarily want to change the world. I don't actually want to change, or do anything that big. I just want to do something that's going to make me happy. So I want to change my personal world. I want to change my world for me. Or it could be where you have a desire to change the world around you, in the sense of your home environment and your family. I just want to change my world, my family's world. I just want to be able to do things for the people that I love. Or maybe it is your community. You know what, Candace? I'm good. I'm from a small town, and I just want to help those in my community. Right? So whatever it is that you have a desire to do, whatever that dream is, Harriet Tubman said it is okay to dream. And I agree with that. It is okay to dream, but I do not want you to stay there. And the purpose of tonight is to encourage you and to give you tools that I truly believe will help you shift from dreamer to visionary. And these are very key and significant tools that I personally use to make that shift. As a matter of fact, I made that shift back about 3 months ago, and I became the owner and founder of CBW Consulting. And I'm incredibly excited about that because for a while now, for about 4.5 years, I knew what my purpose was. I knew that God had a desire for me to work with women to have a business. And I knew that I had gone through some things in my past that I really had a desire to um, use in order to help others. By trade, I worked for a nonprofit organization, and I've been in the social services field for over 12 years. And I worked a day job, and I loved that job. I enjoyed my job. I felt that I was good at my job. However, I also knew deep down in my heart that God had more for me to do and to be. And so this year, I was able to take that shift, and I was able to step out on faith and take the leap and to start my own consulting business and to do it full time. And so I'm still solo. I'm a solo entrepreneur, but I am loving it. I am truly enjoying the journey. I'm learning a lot in the journey. As a matter of fact, I'm learning a few things tonight as I try to do this webinar. And so but I'm enjoying it because really and truly, this does not feel like work. When you're living out your purpose, it doesn't feel like work, and that is a great place to be. And so, as I stated before, CBW Consulting is an agency that is all about life and prosperity. And so, we truly enjoy. I truly enjoy working with women to help them shift and to help them attract their worth. And that simply means that in order to attract your worth, you first must know your worth. And there's a concept a law that states, it's the law of attraction that states that you draw positive to you when you think positive, and you draw negative things to you when you think negatively. And so it's all about how you think. And so I really want to help other women elevate their thinking and elevate their mindset about themselves and what they're worthy of, so that they can attract that worth, attract those relationships to them, that are beneficial, that are meaningful, and that are worthy of their time and their energy. And so, you guys, we only get one life to live. And so I want us to live our best lives. And so I truly enjoy doing that and hope that I can always be of service to others. And um, so now I'm just gonna share a little bit about my story and how I got here. And so this cute little chick right here, this is me. I was 26 years old, and at 26 years old, um, many people would be, at the start of their career, they would be, just living life and enjoying life and traveling and pursuing their dreams. And I'm no different, but my dreams were a little different. My dreams were a little different at that particular time. At the age of 23, I married my college sweetheart. And at that particular time, I really and truly thought that as a wife, that my role as a wife was to help my husband, my then husband, pursue his dreams and live out his dreams, and that I was to be a help meet, right? And so I had a desire to be married. I had a desire to have children. And for me, even though I had a college degree, for me, that the dream of being married and having children was at the forefront. It was at the top of my list. And so I was fortunate at that time, or at least I thought I was fortunate to get married at the age of 23. And at that time, my then husband had a dream, and he wanted to be an entrepreneur, and he wanted to open a daycare facility. And so I was with it. I was excited about it because I had some training in child development. I was a psychology major. And so I truly believed that, you know what, this was it for me. This was an opportunity for me to utilize my training and my education, and to do it with children. And so I was excited about this journey that he and I had embarked upon, and I was ready to help him live out his dreams. In a sense, I was getting my dream fulfilled by being a wife and eventually having children. And so I was excited, and I really thought that we were going to uh, last forever. Well, little did I know, roughly about a year and a half into the marriage, we had embarked upon business, and we really didn't have a whole lot of help. We really didn't go and do the research that we needed to do. And as a result of all of that, um, our marriage began to really be affected by poor planning in business because we were business partners. We were doing everything together. So we were life partners and business partners. And so as a result of just poor preparation, both personally in our personal lives and in our marriage, preparing for marriage, and poor preparation in business, as a result, we ended up having a lot of issues, and it affected our marriage to the point of where we decided that we would end the marriage. Well, it was more his decision, but he decided he didn't want to be married anymore. And As a result of that, I decided to agree to that. And Because I didn't have a choice in the matter, you can hold on, you can try to hold on to something or someone, but when they want out, you have to let them go. And so I decided to let him go, and we ultimately ended up in divorce court. And so, what do you do at 25 years old, and all of a sudden your dream of being a wife and mother was shattered? What do you do? And so I did what I knew to do as a 25-year-old, um, and that was um, to avoid everybody at home. And I ended up going to live with my best friend. I lived on her couch for about 6 months. And I was devastated, you guys. So behind this smile right here, this cute little smile right here, even though I was 26, for about a year, I was still trying to pick up the pieces and trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, because my dream was shattered, and I didn't have a plan B. I didn't know what else I wanted to do with my life. And so as a result, I had to find my way. I had to find my way. And thankfully, I had been raised in church and had been raised to have a relationship with God. And it was in that moment that I truly began to know what it meant to have a relationship with God. And so I began to really seek God for guidance. Um, God sent me several amazing people at that particular time. One being my best friend. I love her to death, Renee. She was really there for me. Her mother was really there for me to help me through, and several other women at the church that I attended at that time, and my pastor at that church as well, were really instrumental in helping me get through that process and getting me to a point where I could imagine life without my now ex-husband. So it was a very difficult time, but I got through it and I managed, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that. So, with that stated, in preparation for tonight's training, I was really trying to think about what I wanted to bring across and the message I wanted to bring across to you guys. And so I thought about my experience with my ex-husband and starting our daycare business. And even though he may not agree, I learned a lot, and I was very instrumental in that process, um, because um, we owned the business together. He was the money. He put the monetary investment in, but I operated the business, and so in operating the business, I learned a great deal about business. I learned a great deal about the ins and outs of business, the do's and don'ts of business, even those things that we didn't do well. I learned from those experiences as well. And so, but there was a part when we started out, in business. My ex husband had picked out a property that he wanted to invest in, and it was actually formerly a church. And he wanted to use that building. He wanted to use that church building, what was a church, what was once used as a church. He wanted to take that building and he wanted to create a daycare facility. The property was a great property. It was right, between, at the end of one county going into another county. And so it was a really great location. There was probably one other daycare in the area that was a competitor. So it was a really great area. And so, in order for us to turn the building into the daycare, turn the church into the daycare, we had to hire an architect. Okay. And so I'm playing on words a little bit because I'm the mindset architect. And so architects basically take what's there, right? And they create or design for you your vision. They design for you what it is that you see. So architects really have to have the ability to design and to see things before they're actually manifested. Another thing the architects have to do is they also have to make sure that they are clear about codes and guidelines and things of that nature. And so this particular architect came in and he took our idea. And so I thought about that experience with that architect, and I created my 5-step process for you guys, that I truly feel are just very significant to help you shift, to help you take your dream and create a vision. Okay. And so I've already shared with you what it takes to be a visionary, right? You got to have a plan, and you also have to have wisdom. And so, in order for us to be able to create a daycare from what was there, we too had to have a plan, and we had to have wisdom. And so, in order for us to get to where we wanted to go, we had to hire someone who knew codes, guidelines, and how to design um, this building and take this building and create the vision that we had. And so he took us through a 5-step process, and I want to share that process with you on tonight. Okay. And so the first part of the process is the assessment. All right. The second part is the why. He basically sat us down and said, why are you doing this? Right. And he wanted to make sure that he had a clear understanding of who we were and what it was that we were, what our motivations were, what our motivators were for doing this. Right. He wanted to see why we were so passionate about this. And then the third part was the vision. He wanted to take a full assessment of our vision. What do we want our daycare to look like? Right? So he took us through that process. And then he created the plan or the blueprint. And then lastly, we had to go through an inspection. And so this is the 5-step process. And I'm going to share with you a little bit more about this 5-step process. And so I'm going to break it down, and we're going to start off with the assessment. Okay, and so the assessment, let's talk about the assessment, right? So the assessment part is really all about um, you, right? And so I want you to just really think about where you are right now. And I want you to think about where you have a desire to be. Where you have a desire to be. And really quickly, you guys, even though you're not able to engage in the chat, I'm still going to ask you these questions that I have for you, because I really want you to begin to process these questions as we go along. And even when we're done, go back, request the replay. I'll send it to you, but I really want you to begin to process these questions, because I want to help you shift. I want to help you shift. And so the first part again is the assessment, right? And so we really have to do a self-assessment. We really have to ask ourselves where we are now and where we have a desire to be, right? And so the question that I have for you is, what's your dream? What's your dream? Okay. So what is it that you have a desire to do with your life? What is the dream? What's the outcome? Where do you see yourself? What's the dream? And so many of us have hidden the dreams deep in our hearts. And I call this the Sarah complex, right? Because in the Bible, it talks about Abraham and Sarah, and how Sarah had a dream and a desire of being a mother. And so for years, Sarah had this desire in her heart. But the older Sarah got, the more Sarah began to feel like that dream was never going to happen. She felt like she would never be a mother. And so what Sarah did was she hid that dream and that desire in her heart. She hid it deep in her heart. And so one day, and I'm paraphrasing the story, one day Abraham was approached, and Sarah was in the tent, and Abraham was talking, I think it was to an angel, and the angel said, hey, God is going to give you a son. And Abraham was like, what? And Sarah was in the tent, and she was listening to the conversation, and I think the Bible says that she chuckled in her heart. It was like inside of herself, she was kind of like, yeah, right. And so as she heard this, um, she really was like, yeah, right. It's too late for me. This is not happening for me. And so, but the Bible says in the story that God gave her the desire of her heart, and she ended up having a child. And so for those of you who are listening who feel like, you know what, I'm too old for my dream to be fulfilled. I'm too old to do that, to write that book. I'm too old to start that business. I'm too old to whatever it is that you're saying to yourself. I want you to stop it, and I want you to know that God can still do it for you. So, but you have to take a self-assessment, right? And this is essential to the process from dreamer to visionary, because you got to be true to yourself. You got to be real with yourself, and you got to be able to identify where you are, where you want to be. But there's some other things in between that have to take place, and that is basically we got to identify what it is, those self-defeating thoughts, those things that we tell ourselves, like Sarah, that like Sarah, oh, no, that's not going to happen because I'm too this or I'm too that. So we got to be able to identify those thoughts, those self-defeating thoughts, and we have to be able to redirect those thoughts, right? And so I do that through affirmations. I'll share with that a little bit more about that in a second. But you got to go through an assessment, and that's what the architect did for us. He sat us down, and he said, okay, what is it? What is the outcome, right? And so we said, hey, we want to take this building, we want to make it into a daycare, okay? And so we had to identify where we're now. This is what we have. This building, it used to be a church, and we want to make it into the outcome, which is the daycare. So he took us through and talked us through that assessment process. And he really wanted to make sure that he was the guy for the job. So that was the important part of doing the assessment. And so the second part that he did, the second part of the process was he asked us what our why was, and he was like, so why do you want to do this? What made a 25-year-old and a 23-year-old decide that they wanted to go into the daycare business? So what's going on? Why do you want to do this? And so we actually took him through, and we started to talk about how important it was for us to be young entrepreneurs, young adult entrepreneurs. Um, we it, it, it was very pivotal for that particular area because we lived in a small town. And so to be able to be young people 23 and 25 years old to embark upon something such as starting a business, and not just a business that would just be there, because for me the vision wasn't for it to be just any old business or to be a babysitting area. But I really had big plans for that particular business, and I really had a desire to be a community leader. And that was the desire. So that was something that we shared with him. We shared our why. We had to think about how this particular business was going to impact others, how it was going to impact others, and how it was going to change our lives, as well. And so that is the second part of the process that I want you to essentially do as well. I want you to think about what your why. Okay, so you have your dream in mind, right? I have a dream to write a book, or I have a dream to be a freelance writer, or I have a desire to do to start my own consulting business, right? So I have this, right? So if I fulfill this dream, which is the question I want you to ask yourself, if I fulfill this dream, what would happen? How will it impact others? Who will it impact, and how will it impact them? And then not only that, what will happen if I don't fulfill my dream, right? So just going back to the story about the daycare, and I'm going to answer these questions. If my dream came true, who will it impact? It will impact so many children in that area who were not being served, because there was another daycare in that area that could only take in, I think, maybe 75 to 100 children. Now that we did have the we did know that we needed to go in and do a better assessment before we started the business, because we did have a desire to get a grant. And so there are certain things that you have to do on your business plan before you can actually start a daycare, and get a grant. But we needed to know that we were needed. We needed to know that there were other children out there who weren't being served. And so we knew that if we started that daycare, that there were children who would now be served who weren't being served before then, because the only other daycare, and I think there was also a Head Start in the area, who only took certain amount of children. So there were quite a few children out there who weren't being served, and we wanted to be able to serve those children. So that's just an example of that. How will it impact them? Well, these children will get a proper education. And one of the things that we did do was we were able to make connections with the public school system in that particular county. And I, met with several teachers to get an idea of what we needed to do in our pre-K program to prepare those children for school, or for what they call big kid school, right? So I wanted to be able to help those children get prepared for school, and we wanted to offer services and programs that were going to be resourceful to those children. And so we knew that we were going to make an impact in many children's lives who weren't able to get a proper education because they were at home with grandmama, or they were at home doing other things. And so we wanted to impact those children. And I'm sorry, what would happen if I don't fulfill my dream? Well, we knew that children weren't going to be served. And so that was the process in that particular thing, and it's just an example. So I want you to take an opportunity now to write down what your dream is, and I want you to ask yourself those three questions. Okay, if my dream came true, who will it impact? How will it impact them? And what would happen if I don't fulfill my dream? And I want you to take it a step higher, take it to another level, and I want you to ask yourself, and take it from a personal perspective. You know, if I started my own business, how will this who will this impact? Well, for me, I'm going to answer this on a personal level. Starting my consulting business will impact not just my family now, presently, but it will also impact my future family, right? Because I have a desire to have children. So if right now, personally, and presently, I am able to be available to support my family. I'm able to take my father on the doctor's appointments because he has health issues. I'm able to run errands for my mom and go with her to appointments when she needs it. I'm able to be home and to rebuild and have a relationship with my twin brother. I was able to go to Hawaii with my cousin earlier this year, whose son had a health crisis, and nobody else could go, but because I have a work from anywhere business, I was able to take my business with me. So these are the benefits of my being able to have my own business, to be able to work from anywhere, to be able to do what I'm doing with you today. I can take it anywhere. So I thought about that. Who will it impact? It impacts those people, my family, in a positive way. How will it impact them? I'm available to do these things and to support my family. And last but not least, what would happen if I don't fulfill my dreams? Well, it was going to make it very difficult for me to be able to support my family the way I had a desire to support them. My future family, I want to be able to raise my own children. Even though I had a daycare, I love daycare, and daycares are great. But I want to also be able to, the first couple of years, be able to be a part of my children's lives and to see those moments of them walking for the first time and talking for the first time. So that's just very important to me. That's the desire of my heart, and God has granted that, and I'm excited about it. So I want you to think about that as well. And I want you to write down those questions, and I want you to take some time to jot down the answers. Okay. And so moving on to the third process that the architect took us through, and that is write the vision. And so basically, what we did was he had us talk about the vision. We had to begin to see the daycare in our minds and in our hearts before we actually saw the manifestation of the daycare. Okay, so we had to write the vision. So he sat us down. He took us through the building, and we had a kitchen area. And so because he knew codes and guidelines, he was able to tell us what we needed in that kitchen to make it to meet the guidelines for state. But we also had the ability to give him our own designs. We also had the ability to say, hey, we want this here, we want this over here, we want to move this over here. So we were able to go through each room in that building and share with him our own vision, but he also had to share with us the codes and the guidelines that we had to follow um, in order to get our state license. So, um, with that stated, I want you to think that we want to go back to you now, right? So, what's the vision, right? Um, Habakkuk 2 and 2 says, "Write the vision, make it plain," and I'm paraphrasing, but that is essentially no, and it says not only don't just write the vision, make it plain, but then run with it, right? So that means write it down, see it before you see it, but don't just leave it there. Run with it, move with it, right? So that is essentially what you have to do in your process, right? So you have the dream, you have that desire of your heart, you have that on the forefront of your mind. You've identified your motivators and the reasons why you should fulfill your dream at this particular point in your life. Now let's write down the vision. Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to go? What does life look like for you in 6 months, in the next year, in the next 3 years? I want you to dream big. I want you to take it a step further. Dream really big and think about the lifestyle that you will have if you accomplish your dream, right? What kind of car do you drive? What type of home do you live in? What type of career path do you have? So if you became your own boss and you became a freelance writer and you were able to get contracts, what type of contracts would you get? Who would you want to work with on those contracts? Would you want to work with Fortune 500 companies? Would you want to pursue your own publication and your own magazines? I've been fortunate in doing my research to connect with women who are doing some major things. And I've connected with women who have their own online magazine. I've connected with women who have written for Huffington Post, which led to major speaking engagements. I've connected with women who um, who went from food stamps to $50,000 in 100 days through her network marketing business that she does, her travel business that she does, and now she is making six figures every year, and she did it all within a year. And so I've been fortunate to have wonderful women in my circle, and it is so great. But if they didn't dream and if they didn't see themselves there, then it wouldn't have happened. And so, again, you guys, in order to be a visionary, you have to have a plan. But as this scripture says, Habakkuk 2 and 2, it says you have to write the vision, make it plain, but then run with it. Then run with it. Okay. And so that is very critical in being able to shift from dreamer to visionary. Okay. And so the next part that we had to go through was the plan, right? So now we're actually taking the steps to write down the action plan, right? And so you writing down the plan, but now you got to take action. You got to implement the plan. You got to take action. And action, when I think of the word action plan, I think of productivity, right? I think of, okay, how I'm going to get it done, right? So if I'm going to be a business owner, how am I going to get it done? What's the steps, right? And so the steps may be, I gotta create my own business plan or my prosperity plan. I have to I gotta hire somebody that can help me learn the do's and don'ts in business. I need to go get a business license. I have to go and I gotta create content and I gotta get a website. And I so there are many steps that you may have to go through. And sometimes you guys, you may not necessarily know all of the steps. And so maybe one of the steps means that you need to go and find somebody who can help you learn the steps that you need to take. And it could be where you also have to establish a routine. That was something that I really struggled with when I first started out in business full time. I was used to working a job 40 plus hours, more like 60 hours a week. I was used to that. And I was used to getting up every morning. I had to be at work by 9. And some nights, some days I didn't get home until 9. And some days I didn't get home until the next day. So, yes, there were times that I would not get home until 12 a.m. in the morning because I traveled a lot doing training. And so I had to travel between 3 different um, cities um, in that state, and so there were days that I would be on the road 8 hours, much less working. So at that particular point, I humped. I really worked really long hours, and so I was used to a routine. I was used to working a certain routine. And then when I had some time in between moving from Alabama to Georgia and shifting from day job to purpose, what essentially happened was I had to get out of the old routine and establish my own routine, my new routine. And it took a lot of time. But now I still work long hours, but it doesn't feel like work because I'm living out my purpose and I'm doing something that I really love. And so, with that stated, it's all about productivity, and it's all about finding a system and a routine that's going to work for you. And one of the things that I did was I established a productivity routine that I call my morning jump start routine. And it's not limited to just doing it in the morning. You can also do this particular routine at any point of the day. But my morning jumpstart routine, when I do it, because I don't always do it, I have to admit that because, I'm not perfect. I have some days that I don't do it. But when I do it, it works. And I feel so much more productive at the end of my day. Um, and I also am able to stay pretty organized because I'm able to use some very resourceful tips. Another thing that I use in my action plan or my productivity routine is I use an app that's called Trello. I was recently introduced to this app and it has been amazing. And so, anyway, I'm going to share with you guys the morning jump start routine. As a matter of fact, you'll get that as a bonus. Later on, and I'll share how you can actually get that bonus at the end. But truly, basically, you guys, just to sum it all up, when it comes to your action plan, action without vision is only passing time. Okay, this is from Nelson Mandela. And he said, vision without action is daydreaming. But vision with action can change the world. Okay. And so again, you might say, I don't want to change the world. Okay. I just want to change my world. So whatever world you want to change, just know and understand that uh, vision and action go hand in hand. You cannot have a vision without having an action plan. And you cannot have an action plan without vision. Okay. And so, truly, I really want you guys to understand how critical your plan and implementing the plan is to becoming a visionary. And once you learn how to become a visionary, once you learn this process and you're able to implement this process, then I'm telling you that more and more doors will open for you and more things will change in life for you because you'll be able to be productive in life for life. Okay. And so I want you guys to understand how important it is. The last step that the architect took us through was the inspection process, right? And so, and just to go back, I'm just thinking, I did mention the architect really did help us with the blueprint, right? And so he took all of our dreams and our vision for that daycare and he put it into a blueprint. And so that's what he did. And so after he did the blueprint, what we did was we hired a contractor, and then the contractor came in and followed the plan, put everything where it was designed and placed on the blueprint. And after he was done, he said all the work was done. We had to contact the fire inspector, and we had to contact the state for them to come in and see the business, see the daycare, right, and see the vision that we had basically taken the time to put together. And it was really more me. It was really more me because I spent a lot of time in that building, painting and putting things together, painting tables and putting things in order. And um, yeah, it was just a lot. So I spent a lot of time doing that, and I don't care if my anyway, but so we had to get the daycare plans, and we had to get everything in order, and then we had to have the inspector. And so what the inspector did was he came in to make sure that we were up to code. He came in to make sure that we had done everything that we were supposed to do. And one of the things that he asked us at first was, did you hire an architect? And he wanted to see the blueprint because we hired an architect, and because we followed the process, he was very lenient with us because we were, if we didn't do something correctly or if something wasn't done, he didn't hold us accountable. He held the architect accountable because the architect was the one who was the professional, and he knew what the guidelines were. He knew what the code was. So we were very fortunate to have gone through that, because had we not hired the architect and had done that on our own, then we would have spent a lot of time and money unnecessarily, and have manifested and gotten the building ready and up to code like we should have. So we were so thankful that we made that investment into getting an architect, because had we not done it, things could have been very differently for us, and it could have prolonged us from being able to open. But we went through that inspection, and the purpose of that inspection was to make sure that we were held accountable to following the guidelines as they were lined out into the what was it called? I can't remember what the daycare guidelines were, but there was a certain guideline that you had to do. You had to contact the main office in Montgomery, and you had to get the code, the guidelines sent to you, and you had to follow it. You had to follow those rules and guidelines. And so we were able to do that. We got a architect, and who coached us through the process, and who was really a mentor and someone that we could contact. We also had another mentor that we had connected with, who had a daycare business that I was very fortunate to have, who kind of helped guide me through the process. But we had to go through that, and it was so good that we had a professional and professionals that we could go to and ask questions, and who helped us get to that point. And so back to you guys, it is critical in being able to shift from dreamer to visionary. It is critical that you learn to ask for help and seek out help from someone who is where you're trying to go, who is now where you're trying to go, who's been through what you've gone through, and can help guide you through this particular process. And so I would encourage you guys that if you aren't sure how to get it all done, if you aren't sure how to get where you're trying to go, if you aren't sure how you get to the end result, seek out a coach or a mentor, a consultant, or someone who's been where you're trying to, who is now where you're trying to go, and who can help guide you through that process. And I can tell you that I saved a lot of time and money that we saved a lot of time and money by getting that architect. But in life, in my life, I've saved a lot of time and a lot of money just by seeking out life coaching for myself, both in business and personally, who have helped me get through my own life processes and get me to a point where I recognize my worth and my value, and I also was able to identify what my purpose is. And I tell you, it's the best investment I have ever made, and I want you guys to know that and be encouraged by that. Okay, and so let's go back over this process. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take a self assessment. I want to think about where you are now and where you want to go. Where you are now, where you want to go. And then I want you to think about your why. You know, what are those motivators for you to make your dream happen, to accomplish your dream? You know, who will your dream impact? How will it impact them? And if you don't fulfill your dream, if you don't write that book, if you don't start that business, how will that affect them as well? And so, in thinking about starting my own business, and just even in the past few months of just starting my business full time, I now have the availability to help more women than I did before, because I did my day job and then I was trying to do my business part time. And so I was very limited at being able to do some of the things that I wanted to do and making the impact that I wanted to make an impact. I mean, that I wanted to make as well. But not only that, you guys, I thought about how significantly my income would change when my dream of being a business owner happened for me. Because as I was thinking, even last night in doing this live webinar, I thought about how, I really labored and I sacrificed and I worked really, really hard for very few dollars an hour. And the thing about that is the hours that I worked were only limited to 40. So that was it. That was the most I could make. So I only get paid for 40 hours of work, but I often worked 60, 65 hours a week. So I get it. That's the law. That's the law of the land. That's how it works, right? But I did not want that limitation on me anymore. Because once you recognize your worth, and once you recognize that number one, your gifts make room for you, and that God could put you in position to make more money by using your gifts, it just does something to you. It does something for you when you are in a job and you're not being paid what you're worth, and you're not being treated the way you desire to be treated. And so I want you guys to really think about that, and I want you guys who are working day jobs to be encouraged, because um, even though it may appear that there are a lot of people out there who are doing coaching and consulting and who are entrepreneurs, it seems like there are a lot of us out there. I want you to know that there is room for you. There's room for you. And so you really have to get to a point where you know that, you embrace that, you believe that. And once you really believe that, then life will change for you significantly. So think about your why. Think about your why. And then I want you to think about the vision. Okay. You are where you are now, but where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Dream big. Where do you want to be? See yourself before you see yourself. And I want you to, if for all the Sarahs out there who are saying, you know what, Candace, I want to be married one day. I'm ready to I want to be found by my husband, or I want children, or I want to be my own boss, or whatever that dream is. I want you to believe it deep down in your heart that it can still happen for you. And why can I say this? Because I'm a living witness. I'm a living witness. 5 years ago, I had a dream and a desire, and I never thought that doing this was possible until someone I worked with, my life coach and my business coach, who said, this is possible for you. This can happen for you. And let me help you. And so I made that investment, and she helped me really begin to identify my purpose. Now, what God did in that process was I didn't just up and quit my job. I stayed there. And while I was there, I began to really amplify my gifts. I began to use my gifts where I was planted, and I began to learn so much more about myself and my abilities. I learned that I had leadership abilities, and I learned how to design and create my own content, because I actually created content for that organization. I was a trainer. And so I learned how to teach skills. I learned how to stand in front of audiences. I learned how to do presentations. I learned how to plan. So these were things that I really took time to learn, and I really enhanced my skill sets. And so now I'm able to use all of that training and all of those skills. I'm able to use it in my own business. And for as long as I need to, as long as I am a solo entrepreneur, I'm still able to do a lot of the background stuff that needs to be done. And eventually, I'm going to hire someone who's going to help me do a lot of that, and then I won't have to invest a lot of my time into that. But at the end of the day, had I not believed that this was possible, and had I not began to work the plan, I would still be working for that day job, and not being paid my worth, not being purposeful, and being stuck and stagnant, and literally at almost at a point where I began to hate my job. And I really just don't want that for other people. And so you got to be able to see it before you see it. Then I want you to plan it, but don't just stay there. Don't just plan it. Don't just have the vision and don't just sit on it. Take action. Take action. Work the plan, people. Work the plan. And then lastly, seek out, if you're struggling with the plan, seek out someone who can help you with the plan. Have someone take you through an inspection process. Have someone take you through the process and say, hey, here you are. This is where you are, and this is what your skills are, right? And you're using those skills, you're using those gifts, right? But if in order for you to get here, you gotta get an architect. And you gotta help them, allow them to help you design your future for you, help you design the vision, help you get an active plan on how you're going to get from point A to point B. Okay. And so that is the process that I took. I hope that you guys were able to get some resourceful information from that particular process, and that you are able to leave this particular training, leave this webinar, and be able to take action today to leave the dreamer status and hop in, jump in, elevate to visionary. All right. And so, but I want to be able to help you with that process. I want to be able to help you with this process. And all right, and because you stopped in and you came by tonight and you've taken some time to join me on tonight, I want to offer you an opportunity to work with an architect. To work with the architect, the mindset architect, me, Candace B. Woods. And I want to offer you an opportunity to work with me. And I want to share with you this new service that I am promoting right now. It is my Destiny Blueprint Intensive. And again, I'm incredibly excited about this particular service that I'm doing because I'm actually going to help you design your blueprint, help you design your plan to fulfilling your dream and to becoming a visionary. And so this particular service, it is my 3 hour power session. 3 hour power session that helps you transform from dreamer to visionary. Okay. And so during this particular session, we're going to do a lot in 3 hours, right? And so, number one, we are going to have is an individual power session, individual. So that means one on one. You and I are going to be one on one. We're going to be on Zoom video conferencing. You can do this from the comforts of your own home. It's confidential. It's values driven. And so it's not just about my values, but I also take into consideration your values. And we sit down and we talk about where you are, where you have a desire to be, and I take you through that 5 step process that I just shared with you. And so this intensive, we're going to identify the mindset that you operate from. And so what do I mean by that? Well, there are two mindsets, right? There's a fixed mindset, and then there's a growth mindset. And so the fixed mindset says, I can't because I'm too old. I can't because I don't have a high school diploma. I can't because I don't have a college degree. I can't because I don't have computer skills. I can't. This is who I am. It's not going to change. I'm a failure. That didn't work before. And so that's the fixed mindset. And we find and a lot of times if I talk to people, and I've done, like I stated, I did social services, and one of the things that I pride myself in is being able to really help the clients that I serviced at that particular time identify when they were operating from a fixed mindset. And I really had to help redirect some of those that they're thinking, because a lot of them were at risk of losing their children or had lost their children. And so I had to help them fight. I had to help them get their fight back. And so, but I did that through their mentality. I did that through their mindset. And so I'm so thankful and grateful for that training and that education, and to be able to do that, and to now be able to use it as a gift, and to be able to do that in business. And so I'm going to help you identify which mindset you operate from. And generally I do this through a basic assessment. And so I'm going to give you that assessment. You go through that assessment and we identify where you are, as far as what mindset you operate from. I'm going to also help you identify self-defeating thoughts that you have, right? And so again, going back to the can'ts, and I can't do this, and when I went through this happened, and so I haven't tried to do that anymore. And so you guys, I want you to know, I know what that's like, because I too had to work on my mindset, and I had to identify those moments when I was operating from a fixed mindset, and I had to redirect those self-defeating thoughts. And I do that with affirmations. I shared with you at the beginning, I went through a divorce and I lost everything that was dear to me, or it felt like I lost everything that was dear to me at that particular time. And I literally had to figure out how to start again. And so, as a result of my divorce, there was a period of time, a long period of time, that I saw myself as a failure. And I took that mindset and those thoughts into other relationships and into other opportunities. And for a long time, I limited myself in taking opportunities and doing certain things, because I didn't think that I was worthy of it. I didn't think that I was worthy of success. I didn't think that I was worthy of love again. And so for a long time, I struggled and I stayed stuck for a long time. And so, what I do is I help you identify those self defeating thoughts, those moments, and we even talk about, we dig a little deeper too and talk about hang-ups and those mind blocks that's hindering your growth. And I help you redirect those and shift those thoughts and those hang-ups, and I help you do that through establishing affirmations and things that and steps that you can do, strategically do and implement in your life in order to redirect those thoughts and to begin to shift to operating from a growth mindset. And then we'll also design what success looks like for you. I told you before that I um, entered into marriage thinking that my role as a wife was to help my now ex-husband fulfill his dream, right? And so I realized later on that I was operating using a definition of success that I believe that society has taught us. Um, and I'm not going to get into it now, but if you think about it, it's, at one point, society was all about wives helping their husbands, being a helpmate. So you only stayed home, you only took care of the children. You didn't dream bigger than that. And so, for reasons that I share in my book, While I Wait, catch a copy. Yeah. So for reasons that I share in While I Wait, um, I entered into marriage with unrealistic expectations of my role as a wife, therefore designing success based upon that unrealistic thinking. And so what I had to do was I had to grow and I had to learn, and it took some coaching and it took some counseling, and it took me learning that, you know what, success isn't all about marriage. It isn't all about having children, or success isn't all about, you know, getting a job and going to a job every day. Success is what I make it. Success is in the eye of the beholder. Success is up to me. My success is up to me. And it's up to me to be able to define what success looks like for me and to fulfill that and be okay with that, even if nobody else is. Even if nobody else understands why, that's okay. It's still you, it's still your dream. And so I want to help you define what success looks like for you. And then I want you to create an action plan that you can implement immediately for ultimate success. Ultimate success, right? And so that is what this intensive is all about. I'm doing a lot, and you may not think it's a lot, but that is a lot in 3 hours. But we're gonna really get to it. We're gonna get down to what it's all about. And so that is in the intensive. And so, what are you going to walk away with, right? You're going to walk with more clarity about on when you operate from a fixed mindset, how to shift to operating from a growth mindset. You're going to walk away with a full on strategy on how to redirect your self defeating thoughts with affirmations. So, I'm going to give you steps, things that you can do daily to redirect those self defeating thoughts when you recognize that you're operating from a fixed mindset, so that you can attack it and you can redirect it and shift it at that moment, so that you can begin to operate from growth mindset. You're going to walk away with a destiny blueprint, your own design, your own design, which has your own personal definition of success, what success looks like. Okay, and I'm going to have you dream big. I'm going to push you to dream big. And then finally, you're going to have an action plan that you can leave with, that you can begin to implement immediately to take action on fulfilling your dream. And I'm getting excited about it as I think about it. But not only that, as I stated before, I'm going to give you my morning jumpstart productivity routine. Right. So this is a routine that I start and I implement and I take it and I do probably for the first 30 minutes of my day. You can do it a little shorter, but for me it takes a little bit longer. First 30 minutes of my day, and it's an opportunity for me to get my day started on the right path, um, and to be productive. And it also helps me break it down into smaller steps. I know sometimes, people can say they can have all these lists of things to do, and you feel like you get nothing accomplished. But I tell you, with this particular productivity routine, I really feel successful, and it's not just in one core area either. I break it down into different core areas, and so it's very instrumental. You get that particular process in a recording. You also get a guide that helps you through the process, as well as I go over this process in the intensive as well. You'll also get my accountability partner checklist. Now, this particular checklist came about maybe about a year or two ago, when I met these beautiful ladies here in the picture. They are two of the greatest women that I know, two of my favorite people in the world, and they're my accountability partners. And so there's a saying that says that show me who you're around and who's in your circle, and I'll show you your future. Right. And so if my future is so important to me. And so having these two ladies in my life, and there are so many others that I could actually add to this particular picture as well. But these are the two women that I really we take time on a monthly basis at least to get together, to brainstorm, to bounce off ideas with each other, because iron truly sharpens iron. And they've been very resourceful. So what I did was I created a list of characteristics that I felt were very important in having an accountability partners and people who are like-minded, and to having your circle. And so you get that particular list, and I want you to take it, and I want you to look at your circle, and I want you to find people in your circle who have those characteristics. And if they don't, I want you to consider maybe letting them go. Maybe letting them go. And then you'll also get my affirmation creed. It's called Today. As I stated before, I am divorced. And in order for me to really begin the healing process of that, I created an affirmation creed. And I had to basically tell myself and say this to myself every morning during my productivity, my morning jump start, to begin to really make sure that I checked in with myself, to make sure that I knew that I was capable of having a great day every day. And I had to say my affirmation creed and repeat it to myself every day. Um, and so, but you also, guys, you get a couple of other resources that I didn't list here, that I share with you, particularly in my morning jumpstart audio, that you can use. But these are the bonuses, and they're simply amazing. They're amazing. Okay. And so you'll get those three, by the way. You'll get those three just for being here, just for joining in with me tonight, just for doing that. But if you decide that you want to really go forth, and you're ready to go, excuse me, So, and you're ready to go, and and you say, you know what, Candace, I need help. I need to hire an architect. I need to hire the mindset architect. And if you decide to hire me today to work with you in my blueprint, Destiny Blueprint Intensive, you'll also, and you go ahead and you pay in full um, between now and the 14th. Okay, so this offer ends on the 14th at 11:59. But if you decide that you're going to hire the mindset architect, Candace B. Woods, and you pay in full, you'll also get my Destiny Blueprint follow up, and this is a 30-minute follow-up accountability session where after you've gone through the intensive, we will set up another 30-minute session just to do a follow-up. And I am going to hold you accountable. I'm going to go over that action plan, and I'm going to see where you are and how much progress you have made into shifting from dreamer to visionary. And we're going to talk about all the things that you've done. We're going to debrief about your progress, and I'll add any additional resourceful information to you that I think will help you in continuing your journey. Okay. And so that's a 30-minute accountability follow up. And generally, we do this follow up roughly about a month after your intensive. So 30 days after your intensive, we can schedule your follow up. And then, yeah, that is it. That is it. So you get these three amazing tools just for being a part of the webinar on tonight. And just for listening in. And so I want you guys to yeah, I just remembered you're not on chat, right? And so, and I really need to update this particular one because I want you to go and probably break it down so that you can know how to download these particular PDFs just for joining in tonight. So if you want the PDFs, and contact me, let me know, hey, I was on the webinar and I want those PDF, those bonuses. And I will send you the link to download those bonuses. But if you decide to invest tonight and you decide that you want to work with the architect, the mindset architect, the cost for everything that I just shared with you, the Destiny Blueprint Intensive, the follow-up, and these and then you get the three bonuses as well. The cost for tonight is $297. Okay, everything that I shared with you has a value of $845, but tonight you are getting it for $297 if you decide that you're going to work with me and all that great stuff. And so once again, my page isn't working. So I'm going to in the comments below, or in the area below, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you the link for the PDF downloads, the 20 characteristics of an effective accountability partner, my affirmation creed, and my morning jump start. I'm going to give you the link so that you can download those below. And then I'm also going to give you the link that you can use to go ahead and invest in working with me through my Destiny Blueprint Intensive. And so, hey, where there's a will, there's a way. And if you were led to work with me, I want you to remember that this is time. It's only for a limited time, you guys. It's limited time. This will actually expire. Initially, I said tonight, but this will actually expire on July 14th. July 14th at 11:59 p.m. The offer will be off the table. The link that I have that I'll list below will actually share the correct time that you have to invest to make this investment. And you guys, it's only limited to 15 seats. Actually, it's 13 seats because I did have two people who decided to move forward with me and work with me. And so I'm incredibly excited. And the reason why I limit it to a certain amount of clients is because I really want to make sure that I don't spread myself too thin. I want to make sure these are 3 hour sessions, you guys, and power sessions take a lot of energy for both me and also you as well. And so I want to make sure that I'm giving you my all, giving you my best, giving you my full attention, and that and that I don't overwork myself, and that I'm giving you all of me when I'm working with you. And so I am limiting it to 15 seats. And again, July 14th, this offer expires. All right. And so I want to take an opportunity to thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to show my face again really quickly, and I'm going to stop sharing. All right. All right. So hello. I'm back. All right. So I thank you guys for attending this webinar with me, and I so appreciate you for joining me on tonight. This has been an incredible experience, and I hope that you have learned a great deal. I hope that there was something that I've said that has really helped you in achieving your goals and being able to be prompted to shift, to take the shift from a dreamer to visionary. And so I'm incredibly excited to work with you. For those of you who decide, you know what, I'm just not ready, shame on you. But that's okay. If you decide that you're not ready, I do want to encourage you to continue to follow me. I'm on Facebook. So I want you to locate me on Facebook. I'm going to put all of that down below so that you can have that link. I'm going to share that with you as well. And so it is facebook.com/Candace B. Woods Elevates. And I'm also on Instagram as well. So that is Instagram.com/Candace _B_ Woods. Okay. And so I want you guys to follow me. Let's stay connected. Let's continue to lift each other up and encourage each other. And I'm incredibly excited to continue to connect with you. This has been a thrill. I hope that you guys have learned something. Sorry about all the technical difficulties, but that's okay. Hey, live and you learn. I'm going to fix all of that. I'm going to figure all of that, sort all of that out. But until next time, I'll be back live. I'll be back here on Monday at at 8 p.m. What is Monday? I can't remember what Monday is, but I think it's the 9th. So I'll be back here on July 9th, 8 p.m. So hopefully I'll have all of the glitches and all of that sorted out, and I'll be able to share some things again. So invite friends, invite people, tell them what's going on over here, and I really just love to have you guys. And so with that stated, thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, bye.